Have you ever wondered what makes you, you? What tiny miracles are happening inside your body right now that make you alive? Welcome to the fascinating world of cell biology, the science that seeks to understand these miracles. Each of us, from the tips of our toes to the top of our heads, is a bustling city of cells, each with its own job to do. They're the smallest units of life, yet they perform colossal tasks every second of every day. Cells are like tiny factories, tirelessly producing the energy that powers our bodies. They're like soldiers, constantly on guard, fighting off diseases and infections. They're like engineers, repairing damage and building new structures. They're the unsung heroes of our existence, working behind the scenes to keep us healthy, strong, and alive. So are you ready to delve into the microscopic world that is your body? Stick around to uncover the secrets of your own existence, hidden in the microscopic world of cells. Imagine a bustling city with each citizen playing a key role. Now picture that city shrunk down to a microscopic level. Welcome to the world of cells. Our bodies, the animals around us, the greenery that blankets our planet, all are made up of these tiny units of life, known as cells. They're the building blocks of life, the foundation upon which all living things are constructed. Each cell, though minute, is a world of its own, bustling with activity and brimming with life. There's a remarkable diversity in the world of cells. We have animal cells, plant cells, and bacterial cells, each with their own unique characteristics and functions. Animal cells, like the ones that make up you and me, are complex structures with various components, each serving a specific purpose. They're like little cities, with power plants, factories, a control center, and even a transportation system. Plant cells, on the other hand, have their own unique elements. They're equipped with a rigid cell wall for support and chloroplasts for photosynthesis, the process that allows plants to convert sunlight into energy, a feat no animal cell can achieve. Then we have bacterial cells, the simplest of all. They lack the internal structures seen in animal and plant cells, yet they are remarkably resilient, capable of surviving in some of the harshest environments on Earth. Each type of cell, whether it's an animal, plant, or bacterial cell, plays a crucial role in the grand scheme of life. They interact with each other, communicate, grow, divide, and even die, all in a beautifully orchestrated dance of life. So the next time you look at a leaf, pet your dog, or even just look at your own hands, remember the bustling city of cells that lies beneath, each one tirelessly working to sustain life as we know it. While cells may be tiny, they are mighty, each one playing a critical role in the tapestry of life. It's time to take a closer look at these tiny powerhouses. What's inside a cell? Well, let's start with the nucleus, often referred to as the brain of the cell. This is the control center, where the cell's DNA is stored, providing the instructions for everything the cell does. Without the nucleus, the cell would be like a ship without a captain. Now imagine a cell like a bustling city. Just as a city needs power to function, so does a cell. This is where the mitochondria come in. They're like tiny power plants, generating the energy the cell needs to carry out its functions. They do this by converting nutrients into a form of energy the cell can use, called ATP. In our city, we also need factories, producing all the goods necessary for the city to thrive. In a cell, these factories are the ribosomes. They use the instructions from the DNA in the nucleus to assemble proteins, the building blocks of the cell and the body. But a city isn't just buildings and factories, it also has borders, defining where it begins and ends. In a cell, this is the cell membrane, a thin, flexible barrier that controls what enters and exits the cell. It's like a security system, carefully checking everything that comes and goes to ensure the cell remains healthy. As you can see, a cell is a complex and highly organized structure. It's not just a random collection of parts, but a finely tuned machine where each component has a specific role to play. The nucleus, mitochondria, ribosomes, and cell membrane all work together to keep the cell, and by extension, you, functioning. Just as a city depends on the harmony between its different parts to thrive, so does a cell. The nucleus, mitochondria, ribosomes, and cell membrane don't just exist within the cell. They interact, they communicate, they respond to each other's needs. These elements work together in harmony, creating a symphony of life within each cell. Ever wonder where all your energy comes from? It's the result of billions of tiny power plants in your cells. You know, it's easy to forget that our bodies are made up of trillions of cells, each one bustling with activity. Among the many components that make up these cells are the mitochondria. They're like the power plants of our cells, tirelessly churning out the energy we need to think, to move, to breathe, to live. Each of these microscopic factories is responsible for producing a molecule called ATP, short for adenosine triphosphate. ATP is like the currency of energy in our cells. Just as you might exchange money for goods and services, your cells use ATP to power all sorts of biological processes. But how do mitochondria create ATP? This is where the magic happens. The process is known as cellular respiration. It's a complex chemical reaction that essentially takes the food we eat and the air we breathe and transforms them into energy. It starts with glucose, a simple sugar we get from our diet, and oxygen, which we breathe in from the air around us. Inside the mitochondria, these two substances undergo a series of chemical reactions. The end result, carbon dioxide, which we exhale, water, which helps to hydrate our bodies, and most importantly, ATP. Now, it's not just a handful of these powerhouses doing all the work. Each of your cells contains hundreds, even thousands of mitochondria. These tiny power plants are working around the clock, producing the energy that keeps you going. And here's a fun fact. You actually inherit all of your mitochondria from your mother. That's right. These energy factories are passed down from generation to generation, a gift from mother to child. So next time you're feeling energetic, thank your mitochondria, your personal power plants. They're the ones fueling your every move, your every thought, your very existence. And they've been doing it since the day you were born. Now, isn't that something to be grateful for? Every city needs a command center, and in the world of cells, the nucleus is in charge. Imagine a bustling city, filled with millions of inhabitants, each with their own roles and responsibilities. Now imagine that same city, but in your body and those inhabitants, they are cells. But who's in charge? Who's the mayor of this cellular city? That's the nucleus. The nucleus is like the brain of the cell. It's not because it's the largest organelle, but because it holds the cell's genetic material and controls the activities of the cell. It's like the cell's personal Google, containing all the information the cell needs to function. Inside this command center, you'll find a substance called chromatin. This is a combination of DNA and proteins, and it carries the cell's genetic instructions. It's like the cell's blueprint or instruction manual. When the cell needs to reproduce, the chromatin condenses into structures called chromosomes. These chromosomes are then duplicated and divided into two new cells. This is how your body grows and repairs itself. But the nucleus doesn't just store information. It also controls the cell's growth and reproduction. It sends out orders, much like a mayor would, telling the cell when to grow, when to divide, and when to die. It's like the puppet master, pulling the cell's strings. It's also responsible for protein synthesis. The instructions for making proteins are stored in the DNA within the nucleus. When the cell needs to make a protein, the nucleus sends a copy of these instructions out into the cell. The cell then uses these instructions to assemble the protein. But the nucleus isn't doing all this alone. It has helpers like the nuclear envelope, which protects the nucleus and controls what goes in and out, and the nucleolus, which is responsible for making ribosomes, the cell's protein factories. So the nucleus is the cell's control center, dictating its growth, function, and reproduction. It's the brain, the mayor, the puppet master. It's the command center of the cell city, making sure everything runs smoothly. And without it, the cell, much like a city without a leader, would be in chaos. Imagine having an army inside you, ready to defend you from invaders at any moment. That's what your white blood cells do. These microscopic soldiers, also known as leukocytes, are the unsung heroes of our bodies, constantly on the front line, protecting us from harmful pathogens that threaten our health. White blood cells are a key component of our immune system, the body's complex defense mechanism. They are like tiny knights in shining armor, patrolling the vast landscape of our bodies, ever vigilant for signs of disease or infection. There are 5 main types of white blood cells, each with their own specific mission. Neutrophils, the most common type, are usually the first responders to the scene of an infection. They're like the infantry, rushing in to combat the enemy head-on. Then we have lymphocytes, which come in 2 varieties, B cells and T cells. B cells are the body's intelligence agency, identifying the invaders and producing specific antibodies to combat them. T cells, on the other hand, are like special forces. Some of them directly kill infected cells, while others help orchestrate the immune response. Monocytes, the largest type of white blood cells, transform into macrophages and dendritic cells that gobble up pathogens and present them to T cells, a process akin to showing a wanted poster to the rest of the immune system. Eosinophils and basophils, though less common, play crucial roles too. They're particularly important in fighting parasitic infections and in allergic reactions. Despite their differences, all these white blood cells work together in harmony, each playing their part in the grand symphony that is our immune response. They're always ready, always vigilant, and always prepared to sacrifice themselves for our well-being. So the next time you feel a little under the weather but then recover, remember to thank your body's personal army. White blood cells, your body's personal army, are always on guard, ensuring your health and well-being. Just like us, cells have their own life cycle. They are born, they grow, and eventually, they die. This fascinating journey starts with cell growth, where the cell increases in size and accumulates nutrients. During this phase, the cell is busy carrying out its specialized function, be it producing proteins, fighting off viruses, or generating energy. Yet all the while, it's preparing for the next stage, a remarkable process called DNA replication. In DNA replication, the cell doubles its genetic material. The DNA, which carries the blueprint for all of life's functions, splits down the middle, and each half serves as a template to create a new, matching strand. This process ensures that each new cell will have a complete set of genetic instructions. Once the DNA is replicated, the cell is ready to divide, a process known as mitosis. The replicated DNA condenses into structures called chromosomes, which are then evenly distributed between two daughter cells. This division is so precise that each daughter cell receives an identical set of chromosomes. Through this meticulous process, our bodies can maintain the right number of cells and replace those that are damaged or worn out. But what happens when a cell gets old or damaged beyond repair? This is where the final stage of the cell cycle comes into play: cell death, also known as apoptosis. Apoptosis is a programmed and orderly process that allows the body to remove cells that are no longer needed or pose a threat to the organism. It's a clean and efficient process, with neighboring cells quickly swooping in to clean up the remnants. So, from birth to growth, DNA replication and cell division, to the inevitable end in cell death, the cell cycle is a beautifully orchestrated sequence of events. It's a testament to the complexity and precision of life at its most fundamental level. Through this continuous cycle of birth, growth, and death, cells ensure the survival and evolution of life. The world of cells is complex and fascinating, filled with tiny miracles happening every moment. As we draw this journey to a close, let's take a moment to revel in the wonder of the cellular world we've explored. Cells, the building blocks of life, are more than just simple units. They're a symphony of intricate parts working in harmony to create the miracle we call life. In our exploration, we've delved into the anatomy of a cell, uncovering the structures that make them function. Like a city teeming with activity, each part of a cell has a unique and vital role. From the powerhouse mitochondria, providing the energy we need to live, to the nucleus, the command center that stores all our genetic information. We've also seen how cells aren't just passive entities, but active protectors. White blood cells, the knights of our body, constantly patrol and defend us from harmful invaders. They are the unsung heroes, waging battles we can't see, ensuring our survival in a world filled with unseen threats. And let's not forget the cycle of life that cells embody. Each cell experiences a birth, a period of growth, and ultimately death. This cycle is the rhythm of life, a dance that has been ongoing since the dawn of time. It's a reminder of our own journey and the transient nature of existence. In the grand scheme of things, we are a collection of cells, each with a role, each contributing to the symphony of life. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? That we are not just one entity, but a multitude, a community of cells working together to make us who we are. So the next time you look in the mirror, remember the billions of tiny miracles happening inside you, making you who you are. The world of cells, the world within us, truly is a world of wonder.